For over 2,000 years, one name has haunted the human imagination like no other: Atlantis, a civilization of unimaginable wealth, technology, and wisdom, swallowed by the sea in a single day and night of misfortune. It is the ultimate mystery, a ghost story that refuses to die. But is it possible that the greatest mystery in history isn't a myth at all, but a buried memory? A memory of a time when humanity was far more advanced than we dare to believe, now hidden beneath miles of sediment, salt, and silence. Every story has a beginning. Ours starts in the year 360 BC, in the heart of Athens, with the philosopher Plato. In his famous dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, he spoke of a formidable naval power located beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Plato didn't describe Atlantis as a fable or a metaphor, but as a historical truth. He claimed the story was passed down by Egyptian priests to the Greek statesman Solon, who was told that the records of this lost world were carved into the very stone of their temples. It was a message from a dead world, sent across 10 millennia to warn the new one about the fragility of human power. Plato's description of Atlantis was a marvel of sacred geometry and architectural precision. He spoke of a city built in perfect concentric rings of land and water, connected by massive bridges and tunnels deep enough for the largest triremes of the ancient world. The city was a masterclass in urban planning, with irrigation systems that made the earth bloom twice a year. At its heart sat a great temple dedicated to Poseidon, a structure so vast it seemed to touch the clouds, housing a colossal chariot of gold driven by the god of the sea himself. The city didn't just shine with common gold, it glowed with Orichalcum, a legendary red metal, second only to gold in value. Ancient texts describe it as having a flashing light that illuminated the city walls at night. Modern researchers wonder, was this a simple alloy of copper and zinc, or something far more advanced? Some fringe theorists suggest it was the fuel for a civilization that had mastered energies we are only now beginning to rediscover. Could Atlantis have possessed a technology that appeared as magic to the primitive tribes around them? But wealth brought a dark and inevitable transformation. The Atlanteans, once noble, virtuous, and wise, became drunk with their own power. They turned their eyes toward conquest, launching a brutal war to enslave the entire Mediterranean, reaching even the gates of Athens. According to Plato, the gods watched as the divine portion of the Atlanteans faded away, replaced by human greed and the thirst for blood. And the price for such hubris was absolute and terrifying. The gods decided to wipe the slate clean. Then came the catastrophe. In a span of 24 hours, earthquakes of unimaginable magnitude struck the island. The earth began to liquefy under the feet of the citizens. The sky turned a bruised purple as fire rained from above, and the very foundations of the mountains were shaken. The majestic towers of Atlantis crumbled like sand, and the ocean rose in a terrifying wall of water to claim its prize. By morning, the most advanced civilization on Earth was gone, leaving only a sea of impassable mud and a void in the history of mankind. For centuries, scholars called it a lie, a political allegory created by Plato. But in the 20th century, a discovery shook the foundations of history. The island of Thera, modern-day Santorini, was once the heart of the Minoan civilization. Around 1600 BC, it experienced a volcanic eruption 4 times more powerful than Krakatoa. It triggered tsunamis that wiped out a society with running water and multi-story buildings. Was this the real event that birthed the legend in the minds of the ancients, distorted by centuries of retelling? Yet some look beyond the Mediterranean, deep in the Sahara Desert lies the Richat structure, the Eye of the Sahara. From space it looks like a perfect bullseye of concentric rings. It matches Plato's measurements almost to the meter, 23 kilometers in diameter. Today it is a desolate desert, but thousands of years ago this region was lush, green, and surrounded by massive rivers. Could Atlantis have been a land-based empire, swallowed by shifting sands instead of water? The evidence is buried, waiting for a shovel to strike gold. We must also consider the timeline. 9,000 years before Plato puts us at the end of the last ice age, a period known as the Younger Dryas. This was a time of global cataclysms, where glaciers melted and sea levels rose by hundreds of feet in a matter of weeks. Any coastal civilization living during that time would have been erased from the map, leaving nothing but echoes in our DNA and our myths. We are a species with amnesia, living on a changing planet that has reset itself many times before. Is there a cover-up? Modern archaeology is often rigid, refusing to accept evidence that contradicts the official timeline of human progress. Rogue researchers claim to have found submerged megaliths in the Atlantic and strange genetic markers in indigenous tribes that point to a lost, seafaring source civilization. They speak of a ghost civilization, the missing link in the story of us that history books are too afraid to print because it would mean admitting we aren't the first to reach the peak. What is truly chilling is that the story of a great flood isn't unique to Greece. From the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh to the legends of the Maya and the Hindu Vedas, every ancient culture tells the same story: a golden age destroyed by water, a handful of survivors bringing the seeds of civilization to a primitive world. Is Atlantis the common ancestor of all our great empires? The mother culture that taught us how to build pyramids and map the stars? We may never find a signpost saying, "Welcome to Atlantis." But perhaps the city isn't lost. It's hidden in plain sight, in the architecture of the pyramids and the stories we tell our children. Atlantis is a mirror. It reminds us that no matter how high we build, we are always guests on this planet. It forces us to ask, what will they say about our civilization 2,000 years from now? Will we be remembered as masters of the world, or will we be the next legend lost to the deep? The choice and the history is still being written.